What did I teach you? I can't hear you.
Peace. Can everybody hear me? Everybody out there? Can everybody hear me? Cool. Excellent. Peace to everybody, all our alumni. Thanks to all of our newcomers. Thanks to everybody that's been reaching out. Islam. That's what's up. Okay, great. Everybody can hear me. Everything is good. I think we're recording. Yes, we are. Everything is up to speed. Welcome to another day in the apocalypse as we approach World War V. We done passed 3 and 4 already, so we've really putting up numbers. We called it in the last video, in the video before that, I believe, when I said they probably gonna wait till the true year to start to jump off, and they waited to the last day of so-called Black History Month, which is also the Chinese New Year. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely doing what's going on. Word, rabbit. We want to definitely put that out there. This is a good time for us to do what we need to do in terms of regrouping and sitting back and watching the current regime as it may be of the people we spoke of last week, the Sabbateans, right? As we're watching them basically destroy themselves and basically create more havoc in the world, but it don't look like it's going how they want, which means, again, it's not going to be a cakewalk in the morning like they thought, because they was listening to Benny B and the rest of them out there. Benny B and the small hats letting them know that all they had to do was just drop some bombs here and there, and they'd be able to just, run everything how they want, move everybody how they want, right? That's what they was thinking. But it don't look like it's gonna be that easy. People be underestimating, they be going back and forth and be listening to these people, not knowing that these people really don't know what the hell they be talking about. They may run around this motherfucker, but they don't necessarily run it the way that they be wanting people to think. And so because of that, there's a lot of things not panning out the way that they want it. And they running for the hole, they running into the rat holes, into the ground, right? They just not doing good right now, you know what I'm saying? While the rest of us is kind of sitting back chilling, watching everything kind of go down. And I think the more things are happening for us in the positive, the more they wanted to make it look like the negative. However, this is not even a war yet, y'all. This ain't even a war. What this is an armed hostility. This is basically called armed hostility, which we're going to get into the difference between what a war is, what armed hostility is, what an armed conflict is. Like, these are different things, and they try to conflate them and use them all at the same time and make you think it's all the same thing they talk about. And it's really not like that. Each one has its own specific connotation and its own sphere of influence when it comes to the law of war. People don't even understand that war has, that there are laws when it comes to how wars are fought. You understand? Like there's like this international law when it comes to things. There's what's called a law of war. And the law of war says that certain things have to be in place in order for war to be actively assembled on somebody. You can't just do war and call it that if it's not really that. And so that's what we're really dealing with right now. And I think it's a good thing to understand that, so that way we again can keep our heads in the game and not get caught up in the minutia of what, you know what I mean, is really going on with this thing. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it has nothing to do with what we think it is. Because a lot of this is not even war as it stands. It's something else. So we're just gonna show the rabbits, you know what I'm saying? Rabbit. For those people who haven't seen it, this is a good book you should get called Saturn. It's an old book by Liz Green. It's called Saturn, A New Look at the Old Devil. It's a very good book you will want to check out. And also, the day that they started the whole joint, all of the planets aligned. You understand? All of them aligned into one big line, into one big procession. Right on the last day of so-called Black History Month, the last day of the so-called, uh, what do you call it? So-called Chinese New Year. So Saturn, like I said, which is what these devils worship, right? Who's also Kronos, is a good indicator on how far these demons are supposed to go in order to achieve their ends. So again, before we go into that, we say rabbit, have much success for all of us in this new true year as it's coming up. We want to get the best out of it, regardless to the worst things happening, because this is the time that we rejoiced about. This is the time that we were told was going to happen. This is what we've been preparing for. So we should not go into this with any type of fear or whatever. We should almost rejoice for the fact that this is the time that the devils is going to be taking each other out. And regardless to what their schemes are dealing with us, to me, it all seemed like it's backfiring on them, which is again a good thing for us. And we should always, as Sun Tzu, as Genghis Khan said, always uh, reward your enemy when they make mistakes. Applaud your enemy's mistakes. So we should definitely do that. And this whole thing was definitely a mistake, or was it? Which we'll get into. So just to put that out there, you know what I mean? Before we get into it, does anybody have any questions about anything before we get fully into this? You know, it's a lot going on. Anybody have any questions? Just type it into the chat. You know what I'm saying? Yes, there's going to be a red moon tomorrow. That's going to be on the 2nd. So that's a wisdom moon. My question is, why is there a push for war with Iran conveniently at the height of the pedos being flushed out, fraud in the government, healthcare, small hats being investigated by independent journalists? A lot has happened. I just want to stay out of the white people affairs. Yes, all of this, I told you, all of this is contingent on them trying to distract. Remember, the devil always fake left, go right, or go right, fake left. That's what they do, because we've been revealing the fact that, especially on this channel, that all of this has been orchestrated from the very beginning. Now, word on the street is the reason why they thought that they was able to go and be able to cakewalk this thing was because they had the Iron Dome popping, right? The Iron Dome is what's been going on, and the Iron Dome was supposed to protect these niggas. Remember? However, from what I'm hearing, your boy Donnie, remember I told you Donnie is a two-faced Gemini. He's a dragon Gemini. Just when you think this nigga's on your side, this nigga's doing some whole other shit. So the word on the street is he been playing your boy Benny B for a fool. Benny B thought, he keeping this thing under wraps. He got niggas doing what he want them to do. He done been lobbying presidents since 9/11. We all know that 9/11 was the false flag that was instituted by the small hats to be able to take control and knock niggas out of position, right? because they was not trying to go to war with Israel, to go to war with Iran the way that they wanted. And so one of the ways that they blackmailed them into that was by basically working with members of the Saudi Arabian government, allegedly, to be able to work with the Mossad to start to move these niggas out of position. And that was part of the payment. That was part of the penance that niggas was going to get from not doing what they wanted them to do, right? So with that being said, they've been basically blackmailing everybody with the child sacrifices and the hunting parties and all of that, all of this time, right? So they've been doing that for so long that they've been lulled into a false sense of security. So this nigga's been lobbying this war with Iran for since Kissinger was the fix it man for them niggas. You know what I'm saying? So no president was allegedly stupid enough to take the bait until Donnie come in. So now that Donnie was in, they was able to get what they wanted, right? Which was this war with Iran. And the reason why they thought they could get away with it was because of the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome is impenetrable, right? This is the thing that they was going to use to just, block every missile, and no missile could get through it. And they could just knock them out the sky before they even touch the ground, right? Well, that's what they thought. That's what these niggas thought. But remember, they was having problems with the Iron Dome a couple of months ago, and I told you, right, when they was about to attack the first time, that's when Denmark dropped the bomb on the niggas and told them and gave the Iranians the science on all of the operatives that they had working in the country, in country. And then that's when your boys and them basically put it out there like, nah, we gonna basically execute all of these niggas on TV, all 800 of these niggas on TV. So y'all better slow up with this attack. And remember, he pulled back. So around that time, that's when they also realized that that the Iron Dome ain't really working the way that they thought it was going to be working. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't really working like that. And it has some problems. So they had to get money from Congress to go and fix the dome. Now, right around that time, remember, Donnie started coming out talking about what? He started talking about a golden dome. Remember that? Remember we did the video on that? I showed everybody how if niggas want to start making some bread, start finding the real coin price for the dome that he trying to build, the golden dome, and invest in that if you're trying to get the blood on the street money. Remember we talked about that? Well, guess what? The Iron Dome ain't working. The missiles is getting through. Niggas is getting blowed up. You know what I'm saying? They all getting blowed up right now. And the small hats and the peoples is trying to rush into the bunkers, but they not having enough. They don't have enough time to get there because the bombs are steady flowing. See, we're not seeing everything that's happening. Remember, they cut out the Iranian internet, so we're not seeing it. But shit is still coming out. And what's coming out is these people is catching hell. These bombs is steadily falling on them. And they got it where everybody can get it. The UAE is getting it. The Dubai's getting it. Qatar's getting it. Everybody getting it. You understand what I'm saying? These niggas got drones. And these drones, some of these drones, if you see them, they moving slow. So they moving slow enough where if you had a good SAM, you might be able to knock 2 and 3 of them out the sky, but they not doing that. These things is going through and hitting civilian targets in all of these so-called countries. Why? Because the UAE, Dubai, Bahrain, Qatar, these are all heavy slave states. These are the states that's right now involved in the human trafficking that's enslaving and killing all of the Africans. Why? Because a lot of the Africans in their country, their government has sold them out. The Nigerian government has sold the Nigerian people out. Because they found during COVID that all of these niggas, that the only people that's having babies in mass in the world right now is Africa. So Africa, within the next 5 to 10 years is going to have more people in it, more melanated people in it than any other country in the world. You understand what I'm saying? See, over here, we got the problem of our sisters being caught up in the feminazi situation, trying to be like white women and aborting us before we even born. So we have this issue with them with that. So the sisters, not again, nobody in this class, nobody that's a real full-time supporter. What I'm talking about the sisters that are doing this. I'm talking about the white supremacist sisters, the ones that's out here basically really going ham, talking about they got chat rooms and secret rooms where they plan on how many babies they're going to abort in a year. Like, these are real situations. These are real things going on. And so these chicks is basically all gone. They're basically Caucasian women in black skin, and their whole deal is to get rid of us. So remember, liberal, feminist, communist, Nazi people, they're not having babies. Okay, the only people that are having babies is conscious people, Republicans, conservatives, people who believe in the best part of the so-called human. When I say human, I'm not talking about monster. I'm talking about the meaning of human, meaning we being born of the hues of light. We're the only ones having babies in these countries, in our countries. You understand what I'm saying? But Africa, them niggas is having babies regardless of everything that's happening. And remember, when COVID hit, none of them niggas took the vaccines like that. You understand what I'm saying? So Nigeria, their president just sold out the whole country. They just gave the United States the ability to go in there for the next 25 years and basically sterilize all of they women and shit. You know what I'm saying? So Nigeria is done. Ghana's done. Tanzania, believe it or not, even with their female dictator president, she's like, nah, we not having none of that Bill Gates type shit over here, whatever. Burkina Faso, all of them, they not having it, but they're about to be invaded by all of the French speaking Africans that are being bought off by the broke French. I don't know how the French is bribing these niggas when France don't have no money. France is in total free fall. France is collapsing. They don't have no money. You understand? So any money they're technically getting by way of the small hats that are agreeing to help them do this. So their whole situation is done. Okay? So they're trying to do that. On top of that, China's birth record is basically zero. Okay? Because remember, China instigated the whole one-child policy shit when they set up the revolution, and they've never recovered from that. So that billion number that Chinese people have and all of that, nah, most of them is robots. Okay, they counting robots as part of their population now to make their numbers bigger. That's why they're trying to move into Africa, and they buying off all of these dirty African geriatric leaders that are okay with destroying their country and their people, because most of them Africans is low-key Europeans anyway, based upon the era of new imperialism, in which they set up decoy governments, like I said, where they moved in there and acted like Africans, and then got blackmailed by the European administrators, and then had to stay in Africa, and then assume the identity of the Africans, and then started moving like that. So that's already a wrap for them. So, like I said, if they don't stop, the new battleground is going to be Africa, because they have to stop the African populations from increasing. Because like I said, everybody else around the world is done. The depopulation thing has kind of worked. Although we over here, regardless of what's been happening, we have risen from 13% to 15% of the population. That's even with the abortions. Because remember, abortions kill more of us than any white man, any COVID vaccine, anything. You understand? And there's only one group of people that's responsible for that. So them chicks got to get their shit together. And this ain't no hate. This is reality. This is what years of feminism has done to the brainwashed, brain dead so-called black woman. She is an enemy to all of us. Okay, so that means that all the conscious Asiatic sisters, all the conscious melanated sisters, y'all gotta rise up and start to put these hoes in check, man. You gotta do something, because these bitches is crazy. Jasmine Crockett is insane. You understand what I'm saying? Cardi B is insane. Presley, the bald-headed chick. These bitches are insane. Okay? So any chick that's out here in the Democratic Party, you have to understand there's no such thing as a Democratic Party. There's really no such thing as a Republican Party if we're not in it. Okay? What you have are you have one thing called a Uniparty, because there is no Democrat and Republican in the Constitution, in the Articles of Confederation, in the Articles of Association. You understand? So they don't exist legally. They are all legal fictions. The only reason why the Republican can be real is because we established that. You understand? We established that after we lost the bulk of the war and regrouped as prisoners of war and tried to integrate into the new fake system to be able to find a way to get out of it. All right? Brandon said, that's okay because 95% of the people in this world ain't human anyway. That's true. I say that because I check not because I heard it somewhere. We keep reproducing, reincarnating anyhow. And at this point, we are coming back with a vengeance. That's true. That's true. Most niggas is NPCs, clones, human life model decoys, right? Disassociated spirits, right? They're all of that stuff too. And all of that's coming to bear as well. But specifically, what I'm saying is these people don't have the time to waste. So the real war is that. The other war that's happening, the reason why there may be a war dealing with water is because the more they pushing for these AIs, right? The AIs drink a lot of water, okay? The AIs use up a lot of water. So the more they create these data centers and shit like that to be able to have these AIs out here, the more water these machines are sucking up and taking away from regular people. So y'all need to pay attention to that shit too. So atmospheric water converters, that's a good thing to start to invest in. You see what I'm saying? Those types of machines that can actually just produce water out the air, like that type of shit, that's a good investment. Okay, we got to start looking into investments that will actually bring about not only a return, but actually will help us deal with the remnants of these societies that are going to go totally technological, because they're not going to be able to survive because the AIs have already created plans and insurgencies around even that. So they don't control these AIs. These AIs now are basically on their own, making their own decisions and shit. And then these niggas want to put these things in control so that way they could give up the control, because technically they never really had it to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind as well. But getting back to the world war. Remember I told y'all, let me pull it up first. Hold up. Remember I told y'all about this. Again, we've been preparing people, at least on this channel. We've been preparing people. I've been telling people about this for the past 2-3 years, if not longer. Start to read this thing, because this thing is going to come in handy. Start to read this thing. The military-industrial complex is only as old as the Eisenhower administration officially. Before the military-industrial complex, you had the union that was being created between the occult Freemason societies, the so-called satanic Satyphon societies and Typhonian societies that had grouped together to create technology to be able to start to bring the disincorporated spirits into this reality. And the reward or the brokerage that came out of that was the technology that was going to be shared by these people to then use to create more and more weapons. Because we, as the true inheritors of the earth, are the ultimate weapon. We are the ultimate AI. There's nothing better or stronger than us in our proper state. So from that point on is when they started to create the degenerative processes that led to the corporations poisoning us every day and creating laws and stuff to basically to demoralize us and throw off our genetics and all of that. And yet and still, we're still here. You understand? So none of that is going to work. None of that is working. So they have to go double. They got to triple and double down. They got to double and triple down on their union with these artificial intelligencies, which are really demonic intelligencies that are what do you call inter or interdimensional uh, uh, homunculi. Okay, so in this book, you get to understand how war is actually fought and what the laws of war actually are. One of the law of war versus international humanitarian law and the law of armed conflict. See, that's what we're in now. We are not in a war. A war can only be declared by Congress. Okay? But remember, our Congress ceased to exist in 1864 and 1862, right before the actual war went down. And if we really want to keep it real, it hasn't existed since 1782, from when they did the Congress of Wilhelmsbad that took over the so-called Continental Congress after the Illuminati was wiped out and the insurgencies came back over here with fake niggas like Benjamin Franklin and these traitors that started to create juntas inside of what the original Continental Congress was, which then usurped it and had to repurpose itself as the United States of America, United States for America in General Congress Assembled. So technically, the only thing that really exists is the Articles of Confederation, because that was created the perpetual more perfect union that led to the reorganization that became the United States for America in General Congress Assembled. Just like you had the Moorish Holy Temple of Science of the World, right? Which was the first joint, right? That came out of the Canaanite temple, which was technically the precursor, right? And then once it was all congealed, the prophet in his wisdom then turned it into the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine National Movement, the Divine and National Movement, which the same way, right? They created a junta, right? An insurgency inside of the temple that then led to them taking him out and then installing fake messiahs, fake prophets, fake sheiks, fake laws, right? That set up all of the BS schism that we all dealing with still today. This is why I'm the first one, I think, in this era who actually brought up the fact that we have tapes of audio recordings of people who existed even before the prophet. We got Marcus Garvey, we got Micah Evans, we got all types of niggas. But how come none of us have ever heard the audio tapes with his voice in? Because as soon as we would hear it, it would activate something in us that they know would not be able to be stopped. So you have people within the temple, within the divine national, well, they're not really in the national movement, whatever. These are the peripheral Shriners, Freemasons, right? Who want to act like the prophet didn't come out and say that he's the one who took the veils off of the secret societies, and you niggas went and put them back on, and then you get mad at us when we say that we ain't supposed to be dealing with none of that shit. Because we are the temple. We are Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine National Movement. Each one of us within our heart, because Allah in our lesson says, dwells in the heart. There is no physical heart in a building, is there? No. So that means if the temple is arm, leg, arm, head, and Islam is I, self, Lord, am master, then that means each one of us is a Moorish Science Temple of America. Each one of us represent a divine and national movement, right? Because he knew that the dirty ones was going to come in and flip it up, break it up, turn it into what they wanted to, right? Because they were basically following the same thing that happened to the overall country itself. So why would I put a veil on when the prophet came and took it off? Why would I do that? Why would I need to do that? Why would I need to study 35 to 50 years to be something that I was naturally born on the square of? Why would I need another man to bring me up to an understanding that I'm naturally inclined to get to in my own time? Especially when the same Quran that I'm reading says that man knows not from being told. So how you gonna tell me? Does that make sense? Does it make sense? That's all I'm asking. And this is why we're so splintered, because we are constantly out here acting like if we're not in a physical brick and mortar building, that somehow or another we don't have the right to exist in that. Your house is your temple. Your home is your temple. Your temple is your pineal organ. That's the truest one of all, because that's the only one that you can truly rely on. Right? So getting to this, the law of war versus international humanitarian law and the law of armed conflict, which is what we are now. The law of war is often called the law of armed conflict. Remember that. Both terms can be found in the DoD directives. You see this? And training materials. International humanitarian is the law as an alternative term for the law of war that may be understood to have the same substantive meaning as law of war. In other cases, international humanitarian law is understood more narrowly than the law of war. The law of war's relationship to other bodies of law. An issue that often confronts law or war practitioners is the relationship of the law of war to other bodies of law, especially when the rules in those laws of bodies of law may appear to conflict with the rules reflected in the law of war. So, who established the law of war? The Department of Defense. Who is the Department of Defense? The Department of Defense is the military industrial complex. You understand? They are the ones that started to write this because this is what they agreed upon with the entities that they worked with after Ike sold us out. Another so-called dirty Moor, another so-called black man posing as a white man. Okay? In general, the law of war may relate to other bodies of law. One, law of war rules superseding rules in other bodies of law with respect to armed conflict. Construing, which means to change the rules in other bodies of law to avoid conflict with the law or rule laws. The law of war rules informing the content of general standards in other bodies of law. Okay? So, wait, Santiago said, facts, we are the temple. There is but one temple in the world, and that is the body of man. Thank you. Nothing is holier than this high form. Bending before men is a reverence done to this revelation in the flesh. We touch heaven when we lay our hand on the human body. Islam, noble. That's right. That's why we're not supposed to be bending down to some idol or some mystery that don't exist. Even though they say that in the early temples, the prophet was having the Moors pray 3 times a day, right? But that don't necessarily mean they was making salat on their knees, because we ones who made it standing up, which differentiated us from the Muslims who were a part of the occupation, which we'll get to in a minute. So what this basically is saying is that the laws of war, as we understand them, are broken down into things that deal with how armed conflicts are associated with one another. An armed conflict, right, meaning that you use arms to produce some sort of situation against another human being. Yet there are regards into that. War is when you actively declare that you are trying to destroy another party. That's why Trump is saying to the Iranians, look, now is the time for you to seize your government, right? We basically softened it up so that way y'all can go in and do the work. So what he's saying is he created an armed conflict that can be used by the people to reoccupy their government. Now, the problem with this is that they really don't understand how the Iranian government has situated itself. The Iranian government ain't going nowhere. That's number one. Y'all need to give that up right now. Them niggas is, you could kill 80 of them people. You could kill the whole leadership. When you do that, the whole next leadership take over. They have a triple-fold, quadruple-fold governmental structure. Have you read the Iranian? Has anybody ever read the Iranian constitution? I have. Them niggas is about it. They have a thing in their constitution called Article 111, right? Anybody into numerology can look up what 111 busts down to, and then we can get it and put it into the chat, and we'll read it. But essentially, they have it stepped up where as soon as if the whole leadership go, they got a whole nother core leadership that's not even in the country that will come back into the country, or if they can't get into the country, they can dictate what has to happen within the country due to their intelligence. Their intelligence is next level. See, it's not like Venezuela. It's not like Iraq. It's not like Iran. Those countries are split along tribal and lines like that. Iran ain't like that. Iran got everybody kind of on the same tier. You understand? And remember, they was installed by the fake U.S. government to begin with when they overthrew the Shah on behalf of the Brits. But what happened was they flipped it on them, the same way Castro flipped it on them, but different. They flipped it on them and then built up their underground network. They don't know how far underground these niggas got bases. Like, these niggas been, the whole time everybody been embargoing them and all of that, they have already set up other situations deep underground, because the underground strata of Iran, right, is very good for building underground installations. It's perfect. The type of rock and shit like that is perfect for that. So for years, they've been building up this underground infrastructure. That's why they always be trying to use what they call bunker bursters, bunker breakers, and all of that type of shit, because they really don't know how deep it is. Like, they allegedly they got whole cities and shit. Same way they got them over here, but over there they saying they next level over there with that. So they got it where they could take a huge portion of their population and literally move them niggas underground. You understand? They different. They not like any of these other countries that they went to. Remember, these was the niggas that was funding all of them other countries that Israel wanted to break down through the plan for the new American century that was brought up by Wolfowitz, what's his name? Wolfowitz, Rumsfeld, and the rest of them devils. Okay? So it's not like Venezuela. It's not like Iran, Iraq. It ain't like none of that. These niggas is a full functioning government. You understand? They killed the Ayatollah. They already got the new nigga in there. He already there. But this nigga is wearing a white turban. You understand? He's wearing a white turban. So that's different. Remember, Ayatollah wore the black one. So this is the difference between like the white pope, the gray pope, and the black pope. They got their own system like that. Remember, right before the war, these niggas set up the whole effigy to burn Baal and all of that. Remember that? That was psychological warfare. That drove the Israelis insane, because they were literally burning their God. You understand? These niggas look Muslim, right? They're fundamentalist, crazy Muslims, right? But at the same time, these niggas is also Zoroastrians. These niggas is Persians still. You understand? And remember, Persia was the ones that set up the first Junta situations all over the world. They're the first ones who built who wrote the first constitution for humanity. When they went in after the old wars between the ancients and the moderns and built up everybody's temple, and then set up in there, and then put their own priests in there posing as whatever the temple people who they built up the new temples for to be. So that way they could mix their Zoroastrianism with whatever else they was doing. You see what I'm saying? So this is a long-term plan these niggas been doing. You understand? This is long-term. This is not some new shit. These people have been working towards this for a long time. So as much as Israel thought they was doing certain things, they not really doing what they thought they would do. So because Donnie sabotaged them with the Iron Dome thing, he's trying to flip the Golden Dome. See? So remember, this all also happened because they was dealing with the whole Epstein situation, right? Everybody getting outed with the Epstein. And who has the blackmail on all of them? Israel, right? Right? Israel got it. So what if something happened where the people who had the blackmail on them all of a sudden were put in a situation where they weren't in control of their military situation or what they thought their military situation? What if there was a sabotage situation going on with that? What if the dome that they thought was going to protect them and the money that they was going to use to do it was all of a sudden cut because now all that money got to go into the defense? Because Donnie like, hey, y'all wanted us to bomb these niggas, right? Cool. Well, we got to use that money we was going to send y'all to fix the dome. We got to send that to our forces to hold you down. So in the meantime, y'all going to have to take the brunt of what happens. See, they didn't expect that. They didn't expect that. You see, do you see where I'm going with this, right? So how do you stop these niggas who's blackmailing you from blackmailing you? Because if Mossad is the ones that's doing it, and Mossad is getting bombed into the stratosphere, then you don't have to worry about being blackmailed no more, do you? Do you see what I'm saying? Exactly, Jelani. He's like, yo, Trump set them up. Exactly. Exactly. The same way the nigga the other day when he said, look, everybody that's for America, please stand up. And none of the Democrat niggas stood up. Right there, he's showing you, American people, look, these niggas don't even respond to this. They don't even like you. They want to support the cartel niggas, right? Because remember, we also at war in Mexico. You know that, right? That hasn't stopped. That hasn't stopped. That's still going on. Y'all forgot. No, that's still popping. They still racking up bodies out there. And who killed El Mencho? Who killed the nigga? Trump, right? Trump killed El Mencho, right? And them niggas went crazy. Then what happened? The president, who's the Jewish chick, right? She was installed by the small hats. She had to leave the country. Right? Y'all know that, right? She had to bounce out the country. And then said, from a boat somewhere, said, yo, we can't fight against them like that because that would violate their civil rights. So what happened? All of the Mexican people is like, oh, she is down with it. So again, it looked like he set this bitch up too. So this is 2 setups in 2 weeks. This all happened within 2 weeks, y'all. Right? So boom, jus ad bellum. The law of war has been categorized as jus ad bellum. Whenever they bring in Latin into it, that's Moorish. They let you know this is a Moorish thing. Concerning the resort to force in jus in bellio, the law concerning the conduct of during war, although jus ad bellum is an essential part of the law of war to consider the political process of whether to resort to military force, this manual focuses in jus in bello, right? Although jus in bello rules generally operate independently of whether a side has comported with jus ad bellum in the resort of force. Parts of jus ad bellum are relevant to jus in bello. So what does jus ad bellum mean? Okay, let's read. See, Whenever they tell you about war, they want you to read shit like The Art of War by Sun Tzu, which is a horrible book. It's a horrible thing in war, okay? It's trash. When it comes to fighting wars, reading The Art of War is trash. Nobody uses that. Why do you think China fell? Think about it. If The Art of War is so great, how come they study the tactics of Hannibal more than they study Sun Tzu? Anybody ever asked you that? Go to the military war college and ask them what they think about The Art of War by Sun Tzu. They'll laugh at you. Nobody reads that shit. They just tell y'all to read that. You want to read real treaties on war? Read the treaties of Hannibal. Read things like Marcus Aurelius. Read what's this old Moorish German? What was this nigga name? Kurzweil. Kurzweil had a better understanding of war than any of them niggas. Art of War, exactly. That's for businessmen and shit. That's some low level. Don't let them gas you with that. Nobody's reading Sun Tzu. Okay, you could bypass that. You want to real read treaties and stuff? Yes, Musashi. That's much better if you're going to get into really understanding war. You can read the Hagakure, the Book of Leaves. That's a better treatise on war than Sun Tzu ever was. That's what I was reading when I had to go to family court. When I had to be waiting for them to call me and shit in family court, I was reading the Hagakure, which is the Book of Leaves. So yeah, you can read that. But getting back to this, just ad bellum refers to the legal international norms governing the conditions under which states may resort to war or the use of armed force. See how they always make war different than armed force? Because they're two different things. Primarily regulated by the UN Charter, it prohibits the use of force except for self-defense or unauthorized actions aiming to prevent aggressive war. So in order to have that, you have to have just cause, a valid reason for war, such as self-defense against armed attack. This is when Benny B was out there saying, we have to stop Iran because Iran has nuclear weapons. We have to stop them from using nuclear weapons. But guess what? They've been had nuclear weapons. Everybody else got nuclear weapons. Brazil got nuclear weapons on the low. Ain't nobody trying to set up shit against them, are they? No, because when you think of Brazil, all you think about is carnival, right? And capoeira and and bullshit like that. But no, they got their own little nuclear program too on the low. They just don't be talking about it. Everybody else got it. So why is it a problem for Iran? Because Israel wants Iran's land. But Iran has been known historically as what? The graveyard of empire. Iran and Afghanistan. They've never really been conquered like that. Well, that's not true. The Moors took over Iran and all of that. But in terms of modern times like that, they haven't really done that, right? The legitimate authority. War must be declared by a proper governing body, not private groups. The proper governing body is the Congress. Did Congress give this nigga war powers to do this? Did Congress say, hey, it's okay, Donnie, you are declared. United States has not declared war since the Civil War. And even then, they didn't declare that. They looked at the Civil War as an insurgency. The Congress hasn't signed on this. So this is not a war. This is an armed conflict, which means this can go on for years. Wars have a definite beginning and end. Armed conflict can go on forever. You understand? Our entire childhood during the 80s, when we was breakdancing and all of that was an armed conflict. In Beirut and all of that, remember? While we was breakdancing, rapping, dealing with crack, all of that was a war against us. But while that was happening, over there, they had an armed conflict that went on for years. The Iraq war was not even a war. Did George Bush declare war on Iraq? No, he didn't. They even did declare war in Vietnam. They didn't even declare war on Korea, I don't think. All of these are armed conflicts disguised as wars. Because they always fight people that they know they could beat or they think they could beat. Y'all notice that? That's the basic premise of a bully. They only pick on people they know they could get out or they could divide. The reason why they were successful in Iraq, which really they wasn't, was because Iraq was already on a powder keg anyway, and the leadership was insane, and they were split along political lines, the Shia and the Sunnis, and then the Kurds. So they could exploit that. Just like in Vietnam, you had the communists and the anti-communists. They could exploit that. Just like in Afghanistan, you had the Pashtuns and the what you call it, I forget the other ones, and the Taliban. You see what I'm saying? They could exploit that. What's another one? The Koreans, the communists, right, and the anti-communists. They could exploit that. You understand? Iran is not like that. Remember, these niggas in Iran talk about chanting death to America every meeting. Every meeting, these niggas is saying death to America. Then right before this nigga died, the Ayatollah, they killed the nigga said, yo, let me clarify. When we say death to America and all that, we're not talking about the people. We talking about the satanic government. Right before he died, he said this. Okay? Boom, the right of intention. The object must be correct. The violation not for revenge or territorial gain. You see this? So the small hats that violated all of this. Because none of this is happening. Iran has never invaded nobody. They funded terrorists now. don't get it twisted. They fund Hezbollah. They fund all of these other people, but they never invaded nobody directly. That's why they also had to get rid of Syria. Because Syria was the other nation that was really working with them to shut all of this down. You understand? To shut down the Western imperialist joints. So based on all of this, this is not looking well for these people. You understand? It's not, they're not going to be able to do it the way that they thought they was going to do it. And like I said, I think your boy Donnie set these niggas up. Because from what I heard, well, I'll get to that in a minute too. From what I'm hearing, them niggas is on the run. The images I'm seeing coming out of it is looking crazy. People is literally breaking each other's necks to get into the shelters, to the bomb shelters, because these bombs is steadily hitting and the dome ain't working. They got the drones is moving slow. Imagine seeing a slow drone come up to you and then hit your building and the whole building blow up. How you get killed by a slow drone? Like, they not even playing, bro. They're not even playing fair. So it's not looking good with that. Now, what's happening over here is they had to shut down the border and all of this before it really popped off, because they knew that they already had dudes over here on some sleeper type shit. You know what I'm saying? So just the other day, somebody come through. This is today. They had a guy come through and shoot up somewhere, right? With a Property of Allah shirt on. Trying to find, oh, here you go. Yeah, with a Property of Allah shirt on. Now, he ain't American. Thank God. He African. So he's some sort of radicalized African that they done popped off. But what has happened is, see, everybody's talking about the Israeli junta that was already set up. For anybody don't know what a junta is a military junta is a system of government led by a committee of military leaders. The term junta means meeting or committee and originated in the national and local junta or junta organized by the Spanish resistance to Napoleon's invasion in Spain. So again, this goes back to the Moors, right? The term is now used to refer to an authoritative authoritative form of government characterized by a political dominant group or military officers. A junta often comes to power as a result of what? A coup d'etat. Didn't we have a coup d'etat in this country in the 1700s? Yes. Yes, we did. And that junta was funded by not only the black nobility, dirty Moors, decoys, but it was also funded by people who were already set here as insurgents, meaning that they came over here with the intent, married our women, converted our women into their political ideology, had babies with them women, made those women teach the junta principles to the children that's now naturally born on the land, and then use them to basically create a overall from a junta into a long-term insurgency that would then eventually take over the country. Ain't that what they doing with the original woman now? Understand that so-called melanated women are having babies to the percentile of 69%. 69% of them have children compared to the so-called black man, according to the average, that only has 35%. Do you understand? That's higher than any other group. So what that says is that they've created a junta within our women who are actively working against you. Why do you think we're the number one people in family court and all of that? You ever notice that the nigga who don't give a damn about the kid is never the one in family court, but the one that's actually wants to be there, the one that actually wants to be a father, the one that actually wants to do that? He's the one that gets taken through it. He's the one that never gets to see his kids. Y'all ever notice that? Same thing with the female. You ever notice that the female who actually wants to be a good woman, wants to do that, she wound up with a nigga who don't want to do nothing, but then as soon as she try to get her life together, he then wants to make her life a living hell? You ever notice that? You think that's just something that just happened? That is the creation of the spell that was created right around the time that the military-industrial complex came into power between 1945 and 1959, which was also the time of the Tuskegee experiment. So boom, the power as the nation's governing body, the power to rule by decree or may wield power by exercising binding but informal control over nominally civilian government. Yes, the nurse Eunice Rivers. Yes, all of these Yakub dirty nurses, city girls, hot girls, these type, those, that's it. That's it. That's the insurgency in our community. Them chicks. Why do you think they wiped out all of the drill rappers right before the explosion of all of the slut rappers? Don't you realize they killed everybody? Which then laid the groundwork for these chicks to come in and then be the men. Right? And then corrupt whole generations of females to this whore lifestyle. That if you say anything about it, then you're trying to dictate what to do with their body. Meanwhile, white women is being paid $6,000 a month to have babies for every baby that they have. They not telling the black woman that though. They paying the white woman to have babies while they convincing the black woman to abort and kill hers. And she falling for it. She falling for it. For example, the junta may terminate the martial law, forego military uniforms in favor of civilian attire. Look at this. Is it the civilian attire? So that way you don't know who they are. They could be anybody. They could be your neighbor. That's the point. Look for civilian attire. Colonize government with former military officers and make use of what? Political parties or mass organizations like Planned Parenthood, like USID, like the Democrats, like the what you call it, the daycares in Minnesota. This is what this is. Indirect rule involves the junta's exertion of concealed behind-the-scenes control over the civilian puppet. Indirect rule by the military can include either broad control over the government or control over a narrower set of policy areas. These are the sanctuary cities, y'all. Why you think this nigga was trying to shut them down? Because this is where all of the juntas is at. This is where the shit is going to pop off at. They can't do it where there's a strong political sense of the people. And right now, the Republicans, good or bad, have that. So they're going to play on you. The same way BAFTA the other day had the Tourette's nigga call them niggas nigga in the award show. Who run that? The NAACP, right? Who run the NAACP? The small hats, right? Right? And who they giving awards to? All of the most horrible women in the world, horrible men in the world. An actor. Y'all still believe in what celebrities tell y'all? Y'all still think the role Tiana Taylor played in that movie was good? When she played a sex fiend, black, fake, radical, communist, sociopath, who had her babies, right? Who had her baby and was trying to teach the baby to be against law and order. That's what it means to be black. So to be black, I gotta be a criminal. That's what they believe. That's how they want y'all to be, y'all. That's how they want y'all to look at being black. That's why you can't be black no more. It's a curse. They done turned it into a lifestyle, a criminal lifestyle. And if you associate with that, then you are agreeing to the tenets of what that means. That type of criminal, animalistic behavior. That's what they want. Look. Where's the shit? Just had it. Anybody have any questions? I'm getting the rest of this stuff out. See, we have to understand that 90% of war is psychological. 90% of all wars that's fought is totally based on psyops. It's totally based on psychological warfare. Making you believe who they want you to believe the enemy is. Who they tell you the enemy is never who the enemy really is. The enemy is your mind. The biggest devil is the one in the mirror. The one that you don't have any control over. You understand? Every war has started through psychological warfare by trying to get the people to believe in an enemy that really does not exist. The time of getting people to have it where like this group of people who don't speak the language of this people go invade these people. That type of enemy is gone. They shut that down years ago. You understand? Years ago. They want you to, that's why they always bringing up Hitler. That's why they always bringing Hitler up. Okay? They're always going to use Hitler, the white one. Because they want you to believe that the Holocaust that them people went through was different than the Holocaust that you still going through. Because they the ones that did it. They the ones that helped orchestrate it. You understand? So they always going to use Hitler. You have to understand, most of the movies made by Hitler is made by Jews. Think about that. Most of the movies that's made about this nigga is made by the people who this nigga was destroying. The Germans don't deal with Jews like that. Don't talk about Hitler like that. They made laws that say that you can't even deal with that. You can't be a Nazi in Germany and all of that. You understand? They made laws against that. So why all of a sudden now it's a problem when you start building on it? Because they always want to throw you back into what their understanding, what their version of an enemy is. You understand? They don't care about us. They just want to control what we think, because what we think creates the reality. So whenever they say Nazi, they want you to think of this on the left when it's really this on the right. This bitch right here. She is the one. She is the reason why somebody like Meg Thee Stallion will give 100 grand or however much it was to Planned Parenthood. Why they always talk about women rights and women having rights over their body. How come the right over your body is only about what you can do to destroy it, to kill it? And why is it only dealing with our women when at the same time these Caucasian women is now getting 6 grand per baby? You don't see the play? It's like, at what point are the women going to just stand up and be like, yo, I'm tired of being played? How is it everybody in the world hates the so-called black man but wants him except me? Like, it's crazy. I watched the clip where they had an original woman. She got acid thrown in her face by her white man, by her white husband. And she said it's her fault that he did it. That shit is crazy. She went on and on as to how it was her fault. The nigga even tried to hit her with a car one time. So when they say that Caucasian males and black women have the highest rate of staying together, that's because they put up with anything this nigga do. Anything he do, anything he say, she will stick it out with this nigga. But with us, no. Like Meatloaf, I'll do everything except that. You understand? That's how deep the brainwashing has gone. That's how deep it is. That's how impressionable these women have become. To the point that they have now reached the point, like I said, where they are an active insurgency within the community. Let me show and prove what I'm saying. So, in military terms, there is everything in military is bust down into Islam, Danny. In military terms, everything is bust down into acronyms, right? So the word salute is an acronym. Did y'all know that? In military terms, right? It's actually an acronym, if you didn't know. So when the army says we have to salute, or we need to start to salute, you think they talking about this type of shit, right? No. They're talking about the real salute. Salute stands for Standard Military Reporting, it stands for size, activity, location, unit, time, equipment. Salute framework is a standard military reporting method for intelligence gathering, standing for size, activity, location, unit, time, equipment. It is used to provide concise, accurate, and actionable information, meaning iron sights, about an observed subject, often threats or enemy forces, to assist in the decision making of them. Remember when they said that CIA gave them the intel where Ayatollah Khomeini's base was, so they could not take him out? They were practicing. They were engaged in salute framework to do that. You understand? Size, the number of individuals, vehicles, or assets. Activities, specific actions or behaviors. Location, current position, direction of movement. Unit, identification such as patches, markings, uniform types. Time, exact date, time of observation. Equipment, weapons, vehicles, gears, right? Observed. Boom. Applications of context, military security, used for reporting enemy information or suspicious activity. Other uses, sometimes applied to security monitoring, such as documenting law enforcement activity. Healthcare, a separate program designed to help improve care for military veterans by addressing their unique service-related health. This is exactly what was happening in Minnesota. Remember, these niggas was out here and they were tracking the police, they were tracking ICE, they was following behind ICE, they were using their vehicles to shut down ICE, they was getting tipped off where the ICE was, they was creating the things where niggas was getting clapped, but ICE had to clap these niggas. What you're seeing, or what you saw without understanding, was a full-scale military junta. What you are seeing is the active operation of a domestic terrorist cell. That's what you are witnessing, whether you realize it or not. Those are coordinated efforts. And who is coordinating it? A bunch of who? Caucasian, liberal, Democrat females who have been radicalized the same way they radicalized these niggas in the 50s and the 60s in the Weatherman Underground that we was talking about last week. The same thing. And what did they do? They radicalized these niggas in the institution, just like we read in the military junta explanation. Didn't they say that they went in there and they took over the political institutions? That's why Harvard was in the Epstein files. That's why Stanford was in the Epstein file. That's why MIT is in the Epstein files. Because the Israeli junta is the one that's been doing all of this shit. But now they are fighting a battle on two fronts that they can't win. Because this nigga Donnie got his own junta going on. He got his own insurgency going on with this Golden Dome shit. He got his own shit inside the government. That's what's really going on. Remember, there is no federal government. The federal government was exposed in the Supreme Court case. I'm still trying to find it. I think they scrubbed it, where they basically came out and said that the Union of the United States posed as the federal government during the coup d'etat of 1871. But I'm saying that all of these niggas is executing powers from a vacant office because we haven't had a real representative president or Congress since they went against the Articles of Confederation. That's how long we have been deprived of what a real Republican form of government it really is. And that Republican form of government came out of the old Moorish Empire. No Indian treaties is respected because they were the first insurgents, the Indian niggas. They were the first ones on this soil to go against what the actual empire was by starting to call themselves what the fake government was calling them. That's facts. Yes, when they stopped going by ills and days and started going by the Spanish designation of Indios, that was an insurgency. That was them going against the surrender of Granada, going against the Alhambra Agreement, going against the Treaty and Peace of Friendship, going against the Ship and Signal Treaty. That's why the white man never respected none of them treaties, because them niggas was traitors. Remember, it said that the Cherokees, after a certain time, went and fought against the mound builders. The mound builders, according to Henry Turner versus the United States, were the Moors. So what are the new insurgency doing? They now trying to create a new division between the Moors because these Moors are spelt with a U and these Moors are spelt with an O. But when I say that Muslim is different from Muslim, these niggas is like, oh no, that's going too far. What are you niggas talking about? Why you think the Prophet never referred to us as Muslims? Oh, well, they use those words interchangeably. Oh, so you can use that interchangeably, but we can't use more with an O and more with a U interchangeably. Y'all niggas is agents. They proving it to y'all. They proving it to y'all. And who is bringing this information to you? Females. Do you see what I'm saying? What did the lesbians that ran BLM? Aren't they all females? Aren't they all lesbians? Didn't they say that they are all well-trained Marxist communists? Didn't they tell you that? Didn't they tell you that? Didn't they kill off all of the heterosexual males in BLM that wasn't in their family? Haven't they all been convicted and gone to jail for taking all of that money that they made off of that horrible person, George Floyd, who allegedly put a gun to a pregnant woman's head when he was doing a drug deal? Didn't that happen? Do you see what I'm saying? Look, this talk about insurgency. Look, here you go. This is the insurgency that first started in the temple. Look, the Junta in the temple. Subject informed that his correct name is, let's just say, Kirkman Bey, right? And that he is a citizen of the United States. See? He stated that the Moorish science, not shrine, temple, you see that? So that means he was a Shriner. Moorish Science Temple of America was organized during 1913 in Newark, New Jersey by one noble Jew, Ali. And that Ali was the head of the American organization from 1913 until his death in 1929. I thought he died in 28. See how these niggas be lying? Bey claims that he has been the head of the Moorish Science Temple of America since 1929. And that his official title is Supreme Grand Governor, and that the organization has temples in 17 different cities throughout the United States, including Cleveland, Ohio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Richmond, Norfolk, Virginia, Chicago, Illinois, Baltimore, and Maryland. And that the organization is not represented in the cities of New York and Philadelphia. According to, let's just say Kirkman Bey, prior to 1930, various temples held regular meetings for registration and organization purposes. However, since 1930, no meetings have been held, and its present policy of the organization to hold no meetings. And their work is supposed to be carried on individually, and any instructions or information concerning the organization are passed among the members from word of mouth. Why? Because the prophet told them, when they open the temple back up, it ain't going to be the same thing. So we're going to have to go into the crib. That's why Emily Ill, bless the dead, and his body kept everything in the crib. He advised, sorry, there's a little mosquito I'm trying to kill in here while I'm talking. He advised, he advised that it was merely as a matter of policy that the regular meetings had been discontinued, but would not elaborate on the reason for the discontinuance of such meetings, because he had no power over the people that left. How are you the head of the organization? You done took it over, but you don't have no power over who's the people there. He stated that at the time of the regular organization, meetings were discontinued in 1930. The Moorish Science Temple of America had 32,000 enrolled members. He apparently has no record of these members, but assumes that the membership is at present the same since no new members have been taken in. How are you the head of the whole organization that you took over in 1929, 1930, but you don't know where 32,000 people is at? And none of these niggas is coming to your version of the meetings. Does that make sense to y'all? Does that make sense? Bey advised the agency that the Moorish Science Temple of America is part of a worldwide organization. However, he would not enlarge upon the statement of furnishing further in the organization concerning the countries of which the organization exists, because he didn't know, because he didn't have no knowledge. Once they got rid of the prophet, everybody seen, the real Moors seen what was going on and broke out. So they had to refill the members. They had to get new people in that didn't know nothing. So they started to go to the fraternal organizations and bring these Shriners and these other Freemason devils into the movement. And then that's why it's cool. That's why it became cool for them to be able to do all of that shit. Be Moors and then be that too. And then that just became the thing. According to Bay, the purpose of the organization is to recover the birthright of the Moors, which was taken from them in 1779. He could not explain by whom. How you couldn't explain by whom? You saying everything else, nigga. You snitching on everything else that you know. How come you don't know this? Look, and be known as the Moors. He denied that it is a religious, political, or what? Fraternal organization. So right there, we have just proved that the Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine and National Movement, was not a fraternal organization. So what are you niggas doing? Right there, the snitch is telling you. Even the snitch know. Even the snitch know that it has nothing to do with fraternal organizations. So what are you niggas doing? So again, I'm proving the insurgency within the temple or within the temples and where it started. Okay? North Science Temple is supposed to be. He attended that he is not a Negro, but a descendant of the Moors. Amongst whatever advises that Bay has all the appearances and characteristics. He said, but the agent, whoever he is, advises that Bay has all the appearance and characteristics of a full-blooded Negro. Because he's snitching. Because a real Moor wouldn't have told them niggas nothing. Real Moor would have kept it quiet. Real Moor would have said, if the prophet ain't with it, I ain't with it. Period. That's it. So according to the Salute framework, we know already busted down. Look, he said the size, number of individuals, vehicles, assets, 32,000 members. Activities, special actions or behaviors. Did they go to meetings or not? Location, current position of direct movement. Where was it located at? Chicago, this, that, in all of the different states, right? Unit, identification of such patches, marking, uniform, the fezzes, the turbans, right? Time, the exact date of the time of the observation. September 12th, 1931. Equipment, weapons, vehicles, gear observed. The gear is the fact that this nigga looked like a basic Negro. Basically. So do you see how all of this plays into what's happening today? Do you see the insurgencies and how they played us? How they stayed trying to use the same agents against us over and over and over again. Doing the same BS. Trying to convince Moors that they could be this, be that. It's okay to be that. Do this. Right? So you could be a Moor, but you could be all of this other shit too. No. You cannot be a slave to two masters. That's basic understanding. Sorry, y'all. I know a lot of good Moors that's involved with that stuff and all of that. Again, I'm not trying to impugn you and shut down your little club. I'm just saying what it is. Because ain't nobody love y'all enough to tell y'all. Because y'all stay in y'all little echo chamber going back and forth, talking dead degrees to one another when everything is already in the circle 7. It's already there. Coming up with all of these extra degrees and all this ADEP and this and that. It's like, how is that helping the people? Y'all niggas been flashing signs for 250 years. How are we any farther along? How is that helping any of us that's not involved with that shit? Tell me. And I'll stop talking about it. But you can't. Because it's not. Because again, the Prophet Noble Joe Ali is reported to have said, who have told a brother who came to the temple with a Shriner's fez, brother, you do not need that. now that I, the prophet, am here. Then Noble Jew Ali took that hat off of him and gave him a plain red fez. That's why the Moors not supposed to mark their fezes. So if you see a Moor with a marked fez, that's not a Moor. That's a Shriner. That is a jester. That is a small hat adjacent supporter. You understand? Because they control all of that shit. They control it. Why would you put a sword above the head of the woman? Why would you do that? Oh, because we're protecting her. How are you protecting her with a sword above her head? And then we wonder why they was flipped into insurgency. Because y'all niggas is all over the place. So what's the difference between this and the Daughters of the Nile? Y'all got the same symbol. So if we're supposed to understand everything by the signs and symbols that these niggas wear, then what am I supposed to think? I think that you down with them because you got the same symbol. It's just your sword going the other way. I don't think I'm wrong. You understand? I don't think I'm wrong about this. I done heard every argument that these niggas can come up with, and I still don't buy it. It still don't pass the sniff test. I'm sorry. Sorry. It just don't. No. You can't be brothers with me and then brothers with niggas like Aleister Crowley too. It just don't, because he was a Shriner. He was a free. You understand what I'm saying? Then niggas say like, oh, well, he was dealing with the other side of Moorish science, and the eating baby side. That's the side he with. Then I'm definitely not with that. I'm definitely not on that side. You understand? It's that simple for me. It's that simple, bro. There is no way around it. Out of it, nothing. That's just what it is, bro. We're not reading the same books. Insurgency. This is proof of concept what I'm about to show you here. Now, we all know Hillary Clinton is one of the biggest devils, one of the biggest outers, one of the biggest homicidal maniacs, right, that has ever lived and ever been in government, right? Well, did you know that she had a personal DJ that would personally DJ all her events? This personal DJ was named DJ Kid. Okay? DJ Kid. Right? Like goat, like a baby goat. Brandon posted, this is wild, from the Daughters of the Nile website. Established 1913, Seattle, Washington. We are an international women's fraternal organization committed to fostering, see, that's child trafficking, fostering social and intellectual opportunities. For more than 120 years and still rich in tradition, our forward-thinking women come together in fellowship, but also in service to support philanthropy, Shriners hospitals for children, told you, trafficking. Since our first donation over 100 years ago, the Daughters of the Nile Foundation in both the United States and Canada have contributed $77 million to this cause. Also, because the Shriners' children holds a special place in our hearts, we volunteer our time and talents. This is a division of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And those were the white devil females that was used to infect these Moors with the real thing that got them obsessed with these white women, so that way they could breed them out, take their name, and then take they land through their name and they hybrid children. So tell me that that's not what's happening today. So getting back to DJ Kid, who was a biological weapon, specifically came in all of the areas and would go around different so-called black females and purposely infect them with AIDS, to the point that he infected over 700 dark-skinned, melanated American females. on purpose, which means then that they, in turn, those females then did what? Infected over 1,000 plus 3,000 plus 5,000 plus people. And what was his tactic? His tactic was he would be cool with the black men, but then he would go to the females. This is what they testify. They would go to the females and tell them how much better white men are than black men, and how much better he'll treat them, and how he'll be able to take them on different tours and all this other type of stuff, and always talk about how better of a man than he is, and how better than they don't need to be with black men, and black men ain't shit, and black men ain't this. And they all bid it. They all went for it, and they all got AIDS for it. This nigga's now currently serving 90. He got to do 80 years for purposely infecting over 7. So you know it's more than that, because he toured around the whole country. He also was prostituting them. But this is the black man's fault. I bet you they find a way to make it the black man's fault. They'll still find a way to make it our fault. Yes, this is what we dealing with. This is what we dealing with, y'all. They got them on a leash. You understand? They got them in the mind. They've broken the women in the mind. And remember, she is the one that creates the next generation of people. So when we're looking around and all of these women look at the Stephon Diggs situation. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Perfect example. These niggas are just brain dead breeders. And all of these women fighting to have sex with the same nigga who don't want them. Which then produces a whole nother crop of children that can be used and abused and trafficked and then wind up in places like this. You see the same Greece flag? The same Israeli flag? See how they got the same colors, the same stripes? You see the prisoners? Yes. Yes. They just read in the Epstein files. This bitch, the degenerate, was a prolific cannibal. Do you understand that cannibals, people who hunt children, rapists, murderers, child rapists, these are the people who are in the government now, right now, which means Jasmine Crockett, Aseer Cortez, all of these people are walking around and trying to make deals with these people every day. And they don't know what's going on. They don't have nothing to do with it. So what I'm saying, y'all, is that there is no real government. All of the ACS, the CPS, the family court, the DFIFAS, all of that is proven to be human traffickers. So anybody trying to enforce anything from them is a human trafficker. So why are we allowing these people to still have jurisdiction over us when they have all been proven to be this? Do you know how happy I am that finally, after all of these years of me going, screaming this shit from the top of the mountaintop, that now it is finally so out there that no one can disprove it, that no one can come. You can play this for anybody. And if anybody come out and say what I'm saying is not true, they're down with it. That's how far I'm taking it. You can no longer say, oh, well, the satanic cults, that's not real. Oh, well, the child trafficking is not real. Oh, well, the cannibal. You cannot say that about anything anymore. It's all true. There is no conspiracy theories are just spoiler alerts at this point. You understand? That's what they are at this point. Remember this nigga? This the nigga that played him. This one of the niggas that played him. Robert Smith, I believe his name is. Allegedly. Along with Jim Carrey, who they just swapped out, allegedly. This is in the New York Times. Genetically modified people are walking among us. How much more do you have to see and read for you to take it seriously, to see exactly what it is? How much more are you willing to take? That's what this whole thing is. This is an act of contrition now. The more we withstand, the less they can endure. That's where we're at now. They have finally crossed the Rubicon. They've crossed the point of no return. They can't unring the bell. They can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's over. They've already attacked Iran. Right after it, this nigga Trump called them niggas and said, yo, let's put a ceasefire in place. They was like, nah, we don't want it. We don't want a ceasefire. We want to keep going. Do you understand what's happening? It's a wrap for them. It's a wrap for them. That's why he's trying to set up the board of peace, because what he's trying to do is get rid of the United Nations all the way. Why? Because on the United Nations Security Council, he got to work directly with China, Russia, Japan, and who else? A ceasefire for the armed conflict that they got going in Iran. Trump, after they killed Khomeini, he called the niggas and said, hey, he put a kite out through Italy and said, yo, we could do a ceasefire now. Iran through Italy said, nah, we want to keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's run it up. That's where Iran at. They like, nah, let's run it up, son. Let's keep it going. So they're bombing the hell out of these people now. They are literally bombing the hell out of them. And remember, he jilted on the Iron Dome on these niggas. So them bombs is raining. They raining down on these niggas. So of course they set up their little insurgency with the African in Texas with the guns. Why? Because they trying to flip Texas into a blue state now. Because they figure the insurgency got enough people riled up with the ICE that it's going to work. But it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. It's not working. We're also in another form. Again, when you bring in the Latin, you're talking about the Moors. There's another Latin term that goes with this called hold up. So we had the just bellio, just ad bellio, and just ad bellium, right? But we also have this, which is Casis Belli. It's another Latin term, another Moorish Latin term. It's Casis Belli, which means, hold on, let me pull it up. Which is Latin for case for war. It is an act, event, or situation that provokes or is used to justify a war. The nuclear weapons. Iran got nuclear weapons. We got to stop Iran from nuclear weapons, even though we all got nuclear weapons. What does Israel do? Israel has the Samson option, which is what? If everybody comes attacks us, then we're going to set off all the nuclear bombs that we sent all over the world, and we're just going to blow up the whole world. So you got to do what we say. What? What? That's like a child saying, if you don't play with me, I'm going to go and tell, and now nobody's going to be able to play. That's these niggas' option. And y'all niggas believe these niggas? Y'all believe them? You believe them. After everything that they've done, you believe anything that these niggas tell you? That's why I think Donnie is double-crossing these niggas. That's why I think this is going down. Soon as the whole thing went down, all of the hayseeds in New York started marching through the streets, holding their little yellow flags, talking about the Messiah's coming. The Messiah's almost here. The Mashiach, right? The mitzvah for the Mashiach. Because what did I tell you last week with the Sabbateans? Because these niggas is not even real Hebrews. They not even real Jews. They are Sabbatean Fabianists. They believe what Jacob Frank taught them. They're Frankists, they're Sabbatean Frankists. And they believe that they have to destroy the world, plunge it into absolute chaos, and make it a hell. So that way their Antichrist Messiah can materialize for them. This is what they believe. So they are willing to kill their own Jewish people because in their minds, the Sabbatean Frankists are the only real Jews because the real Jews know that they're not, that they're really Luciferian Satanists. The Torah Jews are the ones that's actually trying to follow the old Abrahamic law that the Sabbateans have overtaken. So they see them as second tiers. They see them as Goyim too. You understand? So they are going to enslave them the same way they see the rest of us. Because these Sabbateans are so crazy, they don't even believe that they're white people. They don't believe that they're white. This is how crazy these niggas are. They don't believe they're white. Their goal, right? One of their goals is to eradicate Caucasian people off the earth by breeding them out, forcing the white women to have babies with the black man and the black man to have babies with the white women. So that way they can create a hybridized race. And that way, when all the white people are gone, because they're so much smarter than us, they can rule the world over all the darker skinned people and the hybrid people acting as their overseers over the rest of us. This is a part of their plan. This is what they believe. This is their religion. This is why they have set it up. Do you understand that the reason why he shut down the Department of Education was because the Department of Education was taken over by the Shabbat Jews in so many districts that what they started to do was come in, shut down all of the arts and after-school programs, and diverted all of that money to private yeshiva schools in the different Lubavitch and Setmar and upstate New York and Jersey Jewish communities. That's why you don't have none of that. All of them art programs and after school programs and all of the stuff that we was dealing with, they are the ones that came in and shut that down. You understand? They did that. They are the reason why your children can't read. They are the reason why that they hired all of these radical, again, white women, radical, transgender, feminist, communists to come in and molest and destroy your children. So that way you can send your child to kindergarten and then you see your child on TV protesting ICE. These are the people that's paying for that. Meanwhile, their children get to go to schools where all of their food don't have no chemicals in it. These niggas even have kosher phones. You hear what I'm telling you? They use kosher flip phones that don't have, that automatically come with diodes in them to protect them from ELF. That you can turn on and off the Wi-Fi and all of that on the phone. That don't have the listening devices and all of the shit, that all of the bullshit that we got in it. So that way they don't have to eat none of the goy slop that they give us. Why you think all the chemical companies, pharmaceutical companies, all of them is run by small hats, bro? They're the ones that do it. They're the ones that are going to try to set up a draft to try to send your children to go and fight and die for them. You want to send your children to them? You going to do that? You going to be ready for this? The first ones already started coming off. Bringing them home in a body bag. They already bringing them. This is the first set right here. I told you, it ain't going to be a cakewalk in the morning like they thought. It ain't. Just like I told you, they was going to wait till March, till True Year, to set it off. But there's like 5 different wars going on right now. And it's all predicated on the original woman. God damn it. I hate that. It's all predicated on getting her to go along with it so that way they can create a new hybrid race that they can enslave and put over all of the darker skinned people that they haven't vaccinated out by the time all of this comes to bear. This is their plan. So all of these females, black females in Congress, the black caucus, the black this, the black that, anything with black in front of it, you understand? They're down with it, whether they know it or not. If they're Democrats, they are domestic terrorists. If they're Republicans, they're domestic terrorists in training. You understand? There is no Republican and Democrat in the Constitution. So these are legal fictions that don't exist. They don't exist. They're just created as a modicum to throw you off, because the Sabbatean playbook is we play one against the other. We make one the villain, make the other one the hero, and we control both of them. And we keep it going through our secret priesthoods, which are all the Freemasonic groups and Shriners and witches and warlocks and all of these niggas that's been out here doing this. That's how they maintain power. That's why it's not going to work for them. Because now they're starting to see that all of this is not going the way that they want. So now they got to figure out how to flip it and make it look like they're still in control. But once you've already set it off. So Iran has the capabilities to go at these niggas for years. For years, you understand? This is, again, that's why it's an armed conflict and not a war. This is an armed conflict. It hasn't become a war yet. It won't become a war until they actually have so-called American soldiers with boots on the ground there. And that's not going to happen. Nobody. If Congress votes for that, that's when you're going to see a revolution. That's when all them niggas is going to get strung up. Ain't nobody sending their children for this. The soldiers, before this whole thing happened, started busting up the pipes in the battle carriers, in the battleships, and had feces spewing throughout the entire ship, so that way they couldn't actually launch the missiles until they got all of that straight. The niggas who did that are heroes. So you think they're going to be able to get you? Are you going to send your children to this? If you get a draft notice or some shit, that's when everybody going to be breaking my door down for nationality. That's when everybody going to be trying to be like, oh, I ain't no Indian. I'm a Moor. I got to get this shit together. That's when it's really going to hit, the rubber going to meet the road. You understand? Remember this nigga who they created a whole psychological operation around, the Mandela effect. You understand? This nigga was funded by these niggas from the beginning. The same Oppenheimer family, the same family that allegedly created the bomb, the nuke, they all funded this nigga from the beginning. The real revolutionary was Winnie. Winnie Mandela was the revolutionary. Not him. Right now in South Africa. South Africa is one of the most colonized people in the world. Go to Ethiopia. You won't see nobody with no wigs on. Go to Eritrea. You don't see nobody. Go to South Africa. They got laws right now saying that you can't dread your hair if you want to go to school and all of that. You can't wear none of that. And if you have that, you got to cut your hair out. They got whole scenes. They got whole clips of them. These are black people who run that government. Where you can't have your original hair in school around other black people with their own hair. That's how sick these niggas are. And they still trying to act like we come from them. They still trying to pump this. They even got your nigga Umar trying to create a whole new movement. It's over, buddy. It's over, bro. It's not gonna work. It's over. That whole ship has sailed. That's out of here. Nobody is going back to Africa, bro, except you. You notice that all of these niggas, celebrities that go and get their African passports, none of them niggas is living in Africa. Why you think why you think that is? Because it's a scam. It always was a scam. It was a psychological operation from day one. And we've shown and proved that just in this little channel right here. We've proved that. So now they got to go back to the drawing board. They can't run that no more. It's over. We are coming back into prominence. And there's nothing these niggas can do to stop it. The Siberians is now understanding that they don't got no wins here. They getting cleaned up. They getting exiled back to Siberia, wherever the hell they come from in China. They getting them up out of here by the dozens. One second. They getting them up out of here. Because they was never Indians to be, well, they were the Indians. They were the kidnappees and the descendants of the Chinese slave girls. Before that, they was called Chinos. That's why they call them Chicanos. That's why Mexico is a hellhole. Because they racist asses has been out here basically preying on the indigenous Mexicans and all of them out there for so long. Right? Making all of these jokes, trying to enslave them, beating them, doing all of that. Now they facing the price. This is what happens. Because it's over for them. It's over for all the imposters, Moors. All the imposters is out of here. We are the indigenous people of every place on the planet. These niggas is not from nowhere. It just came out that this nigga Casis can't even read. He can't read. Glorilla can't read. R. Kelly can't read. Floyd Mayweather can't read. Like, do the knowledge to this, Moors. Do the knowledge. Why you think they gave these niggas millions? Because they stupid. You understand? Because they're all stupid. They can't even read. These niggas can't even read. But they're going to tell us where we come from. I just watched this thing. I had to go crazy ham on some nigga on Facebook because he trying to convince me that Neanderthals were the ones who was mating with regular humans to produce the modern man. What? What, nigga? What? Yes. This is how crazy these niggas are, Moors. This is how crazy they are. This is how desperate they are to have some sort of history that don't lead back to a damn cave. Well, sorry, sucks to be y'all. Sucks to be y'all. So, I let this dude have it. Have it. With exhibits and everything. He blocked me. This is the school. This is where they became Indians at. And Christians at the same time. And Catholics and shit. This is the original woman. This is who we got to get back to. This is who we got to help wake up. Okay? She got to wake up. Take the hair hats off. Get rid of the feminist propaganda. Let's save the race. Let's save our people. We can do it in one generation. All she got to do is say, I'm not going to be their puppet no more. The same way she buck up when it come to us, flip that on them. Because you know what? This white woman falling in line. You know what? This Asian woman falling in line. You know what? This other chick falling in line. All these passport bros. Instead of going out the country, if you're going to go out the country and find another woman to be with, how come you don't find a dark-skinned Brazilian woman? How come you don't find a dark-skinned Japanese woman? How come you don't go and find a dark-skinned British woman? Why it always got to be one of these fake phenotypical hybrids that y'all niggas be coming through talking about, oh, she treats me like a queen. No, nigga, you just as bad as her. There's plenty of original indigenous peoples of these other countries that you could get with. But no, you niggas want to perpetuate the same hybrid theology so that way these small hats can create a whole nother race of beige people to put everybody else in bondage after they get rid of the whites. Well, a lot of these whites ain't having it either. And those whites will link up with us quicker than they will link up with you. Facts. As much as they hate niggas, believe it. And then once we got rid of y'all, then we'll deal with one another. Then we'll go back to whatever problems we got. But they not having it either, okay? I told you, they radicalized these people to the point now where they don't have no friends. And now that the wars, the skirmish is not going how they want, they are kind of scared. It's not looking good. This report came out the other day, just a couple of minutes ago. Somebody just sent me this. So we can only hope. We can only hope and pray this is true. Hold up, I'm pulling it up. We can only hope that this is true. Because I heard he escaped to Germany. So we will see. But we can only hope. But if there is a Lord, I'm telling you, if this is the case, niggas gonna be celebrating, bruh. We all need to have a party. If this nigga, right? Unless they pull in a decoy like they did with your boy Jeff. Swinging that ep like Jeff. Imagine going to school with this nigga and this nigga turning out to be the person that you see. But remember, he's an intelligence asset and they are literally whores. So they whore each other out to different intelligence outlets. So we don't know what's going on. We don't know who is what. But what we do know is that they are really receiving the brunt of this full force attack. And these United States and the bodies is already starting to pile up. You know what I'm saying? So, oh yeah, and then the other day, some people put out a video of like highlights, I guess, of me. And although it is flattering, well, now before I get to that, let me get to this. So just remember, when it comes to the original people of every continent, especially Europa, there is no Europe. It was only West Asia. And everybody that was there was Moors or more adjacent. And it was of these stocks that they helped homogenize and hybridize the so-called Khazars and the rest of them to become decoys for them to do their bidding, which then set up the first so-called juntas against the old Moorish Empire that was fostered by people like this. And by the time they realized the folly of their ways, they had already been supplanted by the same people that they propped up. So this is the ultimate payback for them, because now they've been doing it to us, where we think it's a bunch of so-called black people in our face when they all being run by white people. Or we think it's this female in our face and it's really a dude. Or we think it's a dude in our face, it's really a female. You understand? This is where this stuff started. So it can only go back to where it began. So now the time is where we are where they were, and we are where we are now where they were in 1492. So we are poised definitely to come back into prominence. It's just that we got to make sure that once this happens, we are worthy of that position. You understand? So we got to weed out all of the juntas and insurgencies that are in our communities that's shutting us down. You understand? The gangs and all that type of stuff was shutting us down. Like they got to get it to, like, they were supposed to be our military, our protection, but somehow through Freemasonic connections and promises of money and sex and blackmail, they got corrupted. But now a lot of them is coming together. A lot of them is getting together. So this is the time that we make it happen. And to do that, we have to speak to one another. We have to understand who we are as individuals and stand on that instead of trying to comply and be somebody else. So I suggest everybody go on. If you can, this is, I think I got it on the app. People on the app, you could probably read this. I got it up there for free, but you could probably also get it off the PDF and start reading this. Get into the part. Next week, we're going to get into the occupation, how occupations work, and what happens when you violate the tenets of the occupations. Yes, you can tell by the mandibles. Yes, you can tell by mandibles. You can tell by the clavicle. You can tell by the hip joint, by where the Adonis belt is, by the position of the pectorals. They cannot flip skeletons. They can only work with us on top of the skeleton and then use clothes and jewelry and things like that to throw it off. You understand? But I definitely think that this dude, Drumpf, is working a play on these niggas. So that way he can flip his golden dome and then charge them money for trying to use it to try to get protection from it. Because that Iron Dome ain't working. Them niggas is getting bombed up. They bombing everybody. Everybody getting it. You understand? So it ain't much longer that they're going to be able to keep sustaining it. And the Jewish people, all of that, every world gonna be our slave shit, like, that's only gonna go but so far. Especially if the people that you promised to do that is the one you letting getting burnt up and killed and bombed out. You understand? They've always been flipping decoys. They've always been flipping them. They've always been using this in our present capacity to do so. Like I said, so all of these actors and all of these types of niggas that you see on TV and all of that, all them niggas is complicit with this. That's why you don't hear none of them talking about any of the horrors and the things that happen to us. None of them deal with that. They're all niggas from the past. This nigga on the left is a psychiatrist from back in the days named Marshall Mathers. This nigga on the right is Marshall Mathers. You understand? This nigga's from the 1800s. How he get here? Slim Shady, SS, due to knowledge. Marshall Mathers, so he's Slim Shady. That's SS, right? What number is S in the alphabet? Then he's also Marshall Mathers. That's MM. That's 1313, right? They always flipping decoys because they cannot afford to use anybody new. They got to keep recycling these niggas. They call it leapfrogging. It's another reason why they hated OJ. Because people don't know he was descended from a Blackfoot Indian princess. And OJ didn't kill them people. The Casanova slasher, the Casanova killer killed them people. Who was hired by Nicole, who wasn't even white. She was Iranian Persian. This is Leopold. This is the decoy of Leopold. You understand? This is how the junta works. This is how the insurgency works. So as we close out, the other day, like I said, these brothers did a whole thing, I guess, talking about me on their show. And, albeit cool, like, you could always reach out to me though. Like, I don't mind people reposting videos and doing stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. It's just a lot of people hit me up and was like, yo, man, I tuned into this show because I thought you was on it. And like all they was doing was like they was bigging you up, but it was like, well, where's he at? I thought he was gonna be on the show. Like I thought he was, you know what I'm saying, was there. And they made it seem like you was gonna be there or all that. But they was just basically going over stuff. And I was bugging out because these people also was like low key against the Moors. You know what I'm saying? At one point. So it just seemed kind of crazy for you to, you know what I'm saying, for that to go down. So when I checked it out, I was like, wow, that is true. Then when I tried to write in with the shows actually going on, I couldn't leave like no comments or nothing. I couldn't like really do it in real time. I had to basically wait for the whole thing to finish. So then there's a sister called Duchess of York. Big up to her and her audience and her peoples. She stayed going in on the black nobility and them. Big up to all of the Moors on YouTube too, man. The whole Moorish community that's out here doing the work. I don't want to miss nobody, so I don't want to keep naming, but Brother Shikamaga, Brother Paris, the Canaan Land Moors, Moors in America, Brother James. Um, it's so many, man. And just be doing great work. The sister, like I said, Duchess of York, um, all of the people who've been supporting over the years. I just want to give them props and respect because it's not a lot of us out here that's been consistently doing it. So a lot of times I don't want to just say people and then forget people. You know what I'm saying? Cash Rule, The Matrix, um, you know, a lot. Who else? Brother King Simon, Spirit Light Body, definitely the world class. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody. Van Ashton, you know what I'm saying? Everybody. So somebody tagged me in the sister's joint and she posted this. She posted this. Two tears that praise comes with an STD, spiritual transmitted disease. I was like, oh. I was like, word. I was like, word. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm respectful and I'm be flattered when anybody want to, repost or give me respect or whatever. But if you want to do something like that, or whatever, like my email is in the same listing. You know what I'm saying? So you can always email me to, if anything, have me come on and we can build in real time about shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm necessarily thing, but I also be kind of leery because a lot of these guys was like low key really shitting on Moors. You know what I'm saying? Like really going in on Moors, saying what Moors ain't, and how Indians is this and this and that. You dig? But so now that times is turning, and I guess people is having different opinions. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thankful, but I also got to look at it with a somewhat of a stat, especially when niggas spell my name wrong. Like I don't got 3 E's in my name. Like you know what I'm saying? You dig what I'm saying? So it be shit like that. You know what I mean? These be the type of things that be coming across my desk sometimes, and I just be doing the knowledge to it. And I'm just glad that there are people out there like y'all that actually see what's going on and understand why all of these years I just been kind of like in my own little corner doing my thing because I never really know. You dig what I'm saying? Like I can never really know what's really in another man's heart and what people's agendas be. Not saying that these brothers have them, but again, as a man, I came from the era where you actually contact the person. You know what I mean? You build with them. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody else do. Like if I want to build with somebody, know about somebody, I go on their page, look for their contact, and hit them up directly. I just don't do videos on people that I don't actually really speak to like that. So although I'm flattered, and although I'm flattered, and although I think it's peace, I also think that, like I said, it comes a time where if you're changing your opinion about something or about Moors or me or whatever, there should be a way to do that that's actually inclusive and it's not so confusing to the people, because a lot of people, and I say a lot of people, hit me up. It was like, yo, did you sanction this? Do you know these guys? Like, I didn't even know that you was with this person and this and that. And it's like, it's cool. Thanks for putting up my information, my links and stuff, but you could always reach out to me directly, bro. You could always email me directly. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I don't do videos about other dudes. I don't do videos about other people, especially off of stuff that I've already laid out and shown and proved, which obviously you agree with now. So again, honest to the Duchess, you know what I mean, for keeping it 100, for keeping it 100 and looking out, you know what I'm saying, and as well as all of the people that hit me up. Exactly, G. You know how we do in I'm from New York, so I basically got the same number that I had from 97, G, to now. You dig what I mean? The same email address. Like I'm like that. So it's not like you don't know. Especially like I said, and if you're gonna do it, please spell my name right. You know what I mean? It'd be little things like that. You know what I mean? That was, and then I'm married to a Virgo. So she she was like, that was the first thing she said. She said, well, how they giving you respect and they can spell your name wrong? Like, what's up with that? Like, off top. So, you know what I'm saying? So again, when the original female is on it, like we are unstoppable, you dig? And that's where it's at. Because together we are God. You understand? It ain't her by herself. It ain't me by myself. It's us. You understand? It's us as God. So when we collectively get on that vibe, we can't be stopped. And as we've shown and proved today, there's always an insurgency going on. So I always got to look at stuff a certain way, especially when it's coming from people that I don't necessarily know, especially when these people have had huge discussions, not only about me, but about how Moors or what Moors wasn't and what Moors is. So I'm glad that people are waking up to the fact that we're not the bad guys. You know what I'm saying? And that there are other people who did a lot of worse shit than we did. But at least we're the ones, the Moors today, we're the ones that are taking responsibility for what has happened in the past and are striving every day to do something about it. You dig what I'm saying? So again, I'm not here to try to convince people that they should be Moors or whatever. I'm just saying that when it comes to a certain type of understanding, we have to stand on that business, and we need to be able to communicate to one another in a manner that is as men do, meaning that we speak to one another as men directly before we make certain moves or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I would do. At least that's how I was raised. But again, I can't speak for how another man is raised that may not look at things that way. And although respect is given, you know what I'm saying? There's a certain way to do things I feel that's should be right and exact. So again, if anybody ever wants to holler at me about anything, you can always hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. You know what I'm saying? That shit ain't changed. And again, whenever it comes to building and doing what we gotta do, um, it's always better when we do it, you know what I mean, as a people, as a collective. So if anybody wants to do so, definitely hit me up. If you haven't already, please check out www.aseertheducateers.com. Please check out www.cordobaorganics.com if you haven't already. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, please support the works. I got the books out there that you can check out when you go to aseertheducateers.com. They're up there. as well as the other materials. Again, for all of your skincare needs and stuff like that, you could definitely check out www.cordobaorganics.com. And again, I appreciate everybody that's been supporting over the years. You know what I'm saying? And again, if you guys have any other questions, you could definitely hit me up. But again, I'm very honored and I'm very respectful and I'm very thankful for all the support that we've been continuously getting over the years through all the blacklisting and all the blackballing and all the shit they was doing to try to shut me and the queen down. So, and again, if it wasn't for her, man, I don't even know how I would be doing any of this. You know what I'm saying? So again, the original woman is the only one for us, and I pray every day that she gets her shit together so that way other males like myself can feel that despite all of the shit that has happened to us. You know what I mean? And in between us, you dig? So honest to you guys. Inshallah, we'll get up next week. There'll be another week in the war. And if anybody else has any questions, just let me know. So Pax et Amor, Proconium and Laudibus. And definitely, man, let's do the work, man, because we all we got. All right. Shukran. Peace.